Hello, I am Endlessness and welcome back to Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and in this video I wanted to make a guide on the high risk battle 3 in the Easter event, and this is the last battle stage that we have gotten. There will be no more updates, so this is the stage where you want to use your tickets to finally farm, and this battle has recommended power of 200,000. Also, the recommended 200,000 power, it seems higher than the previous battles, but it doesn't mean that the boss is harder, it just hits harder since it's the score battle. But Pink Baniak is still the same, so weak to fire, and ideally you want to use fire element magic attacks, but if you have a strong physical fire weapon, that it still will be viable. But you also can't decrease attack or physical defense on a boss, only magic defense, or if you also want fire resistance. But Pink Baniak uses many physical attacks, so if you want you can use stack up physical defense. As for the first clear, you want to get at least 1.7 million for the highest rank, and if you want to farm this battle, then obviously the more points you get, the better rewards you get, but I think the most ideal would be to get at least those 3 million. Anything higher it's just more ideal, but obviously for the highest score you need some really good teams with really high DPS. I'll be using Yuffie, Zack and Sephiroth, and my team is at 244,000 power, and on high risk battle 2 I use Barret, but this time I will use Yuffie. But her role will be exactly the same as Barret's, so I have this crystal cross on her because it has the same command ability, so Stalwart Faith. It increases magic attack with mid potency. It can go up to high, but it also applies regen and heals. It's a small heal, but it still does the job. But why do I use Yuffie? It has this buff debuff extension. You can stack it up a little bit easier since she has some weapons with it. So it's really something helpful because level 1 it's only 10%, but if you stack it up to level 2 it's already 40, and I managed to get up to 80%. And why did I use that? Because Yuffie will use Crimson Flare. It doesn't matter which level you have, it might be level 1, but this fire damage increase, it doesn't last long, so duration 20 seconds, so it will run out before the battle ends. But if you stack up this buff debuff extension, this buff should last till the end of the battle. So Yuffie will not do any DPS, her only job is to apply the magic attack buff on my DPS characters, so her weapons are just heal weapons to increase her heal, and also the centipede to increase her buff debuff extension a little bit. This weapon is just to give her some buff debuff extension and boost HP, and this 4-point shuriken is a weapon we have already gotten 2 copies of when Yuffie was released. So Yuffie has 8.2 HP and 2000 heal. Zack will be my fire DPS, so I use Fire Icon and Costume, Fire Weapon and Hellfire as a summon. Also I use his Easter event weapon because it boosts magic attack and fire potency, and for his sub weapons I also use the second event weapon because it further stacks it up, and to further stack up this fire potency and give me some HP and DPS. So Zack has 7.2 HP and 3.5 magic attack. And lastly I have Sephiroth, who will be my non-elemental DPS, but ideally you want your team to be all fire. However, I don't have enough fire weapons, so I chose the best thing for me. So I have non-elemental costume, non-elemental DPS weapon, because I use Mega Flare, which is a magic non-elemental damage, so it all boosts Mega Flare when I need to use it. And for my, also the secondary weapon is Ashura, the event weapon, because it boosts magic attack a little bit. And for my sub weapons I use everything to boost magic ability potency and ability potency with that Mithril Saber. Also, as you can see, all my materia slots are empty, and that's because we don't need any materia, so you can use those empty slots to equip all your best stat sticks to increase your DPS. And on Yuffie you could use some for HP and heal if you need, but Also, if you only can equip some weapon or materia to decrease magic resistance, or even Yuffie has, I believe it's boomerang weapon that decreases fire resistance further. Also, Fire Breach is optional as well. This is just the team I'll be using for this battle, and there are many more options and characters you could choose, so Cloud with his Arcanum and Fire Sword, especially if you have it at higher OB, is just as viable. Glenn and Nanaki as well, but obviously you want ideally magic attacks, so Fire Lucia and Aerith are most ideal, I think. But we also have their Fire Banner still active, so it's up to you if you want to pull on that and equip them, but I think that's enough, and you have more options, so you are not forced to pull if you don't want to. So, fortune cards. Ideally you want to get a high risk one, the red card with 200% score bonus, but also I would recommend avoid minus 50% to physical defense. This will hurt you too much and at least one of your characters will die. This is not ideal. I was hoping for another 200% score bonus, but as you can see you can get either of these, and those with 150% score bonus, they have usually a weaker debuff, so it won't hurt you too much, but ideally you want to have that 200% score bonus, but keep in mind those 200% they always come with a stronger debuff, so something like minus 20 or 30% to HP, minus 50% to physical defense. It will hurt you a lot and at least one of your characters will die, but this one is actually fine. So here I will immediately switch to Yuffie, and also I don't think I mentioned AoE damage is actually not bad, because you'll target 3 bosses instead of 1, so if you have any AoE damage like AoE fire, weapons like Crimson Blade or Zack's Crystal Sword, it might actually be useful here. But I will keep switching here, sometimes to defense. I switched too early, but it's fine. So here I would do another stream. Yuffie, why are you throwing shuriken? That's why I want to ideally stay on Yuffie instead of any other character, because she's kind of stupid. And here you want to switch to Small Bunny if you want to do single target damage, but here switch to defense if you don't want to take too much damage. If you have that bigger score bonus that decreases your HP or physical defense, you definitely want to switch to defense on those big attacks. And then just do limit breaks, and because Yuffie has this buff debuff extension, the fire buff we get from Crimson Flare, it should last till the end of the battle. I will wait a little bit here on Yuffie for them to cast, and now I will cast it again on Zack. Mainly because I want the regen applied. And as I said, I'm fully prepared for Yuffie to die, it's fine. And the last attack, and we should be good. So, unless you heal Yuffie, so your buffer, they will always die. It's very pro, unless you have like 9000 HP and you stack some physical defense, then they will always die. But as you can see, it's still a quite high score. I'm happy with that. And if you have a stronger team, then of course you will have it a lot easier. But I think this strategy, it works really well, because you have 2 DPS that only focus on doing DPS, and then you have this buffer who nullifies this magic attack debuff and also can buff them further. So I think having 2 DPS and this buffer actually works better than not having anyone and just trying to do as much DPS with your 3 DPS characters. And I think also it is very accessible because you might have even a 5-star weapon that increases magic attack, it will still do. So yeah, I hope this will help you to get consistently a higher score. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next one.